Hey everyone, glad you could join me. Can you believe we're in week 2? It just seems like time's flying by. Well, I thought I'd spend some time today to help you with our discussions for this week and hopefully just get you right on the track with maybe some examples of how you can incorporate and have a really quality discussion for this week. So let's get started with that. We're going to look at both discussions, but let's take a look at the first discussion. So don't forget that you've got 2 discussions each week. This week particularly, they're both due by Wednesday. So you want to make sure that you're going ahead and getting a rough draft together, and then you're kind of having some time to look back over it and edit it. Remember that your initial post needs to be at least 150 words. So make sure that you're hitting all the key points for your discussion. And of course, you want to also make sure that you have at least 1 citation in your post for each of your discussions. And then remember that after Wednesday, you're going to turn your focus then to replies to your classmates. And each reply needs to have at least 50 words. So you'll want to make sure that you do that. And those replies are due by Sunday. Okay, let's take a look at the first discussion. Now, I'm going to break it down and highlight a couple of pieces, but let's take a look at the prompt. It says, let's imagine you've just started working for a law firm and you're the business account manager. Your first task is to research the case outcomes of patients who were in vehicle accidents versus those who were involved in industrial accidents, where a lawsuit against a responsible party was brought to trial. Describe any preconceived ideas or bias that you may have had. This would be your personal bias based on the experience. And then how would you begin to research and structure it to help remove these ideas from impacting your outcomes? So remember that when you reply, you want to consider your personal bias compared to your peer. How would your outcomes be different based on our experience? And then for your citations, you might want to use an article that shows examples of how bias actually affects business forecasting. So let's focus the first idea on this. Describe any preconceived ideas or bias that you may have in regard to vehicle accidents versus industrial accidents. These would be biases based on your personal experience. So do you have any personal bias or preconceived ideas? And here's a note. We all have biased or preconceived ideas. So maybe if we look at this example, they was talking about vehicle accidents versus those involved in an industrial accident. Now, an industrial accident would be something maybe you were hurt on the job, okay? So possible bias that you could have, if you have been in a vehicle accident, that may bring some bias to this situation. Or vice versa, if you've been hurt on the job, that too could bring some bias into this. So you want to think about any of those kinds of scenarios that you may have had those could be bias or preconceived ideas that we bring into the conversation. Okay, now let's take a look at the second thing we're asked to do. How would you begin to research and structure it to help remove these ideas from impacting your outcomes? So ideas, things that you might want to look at are just to focus on the facts. Look only at the facts of the situation and look at what we might call hard numbers. So these are numbers that come from the situations, and we are asked to make sure that we look only at those hard numbers. Something to think about. These are ways to eliminate preconceived ideas or bias. Okay, let's then look at discussion 2, because I think you've got some ideas. You can definitely put in some comments about bias and preconceived ideas, and then what do we do to make sure that we eliminate those bias or preconceived ideas. Here's discussion 2. In discussion 2, you're working for a small business owner selling women's fitness apparel in a strip mall in a town with approximately 20,000 people. The space next door will become vacant next year once their lease expires, and the property manager has offered your business the opportunity to lease the space. The company is financially sound, but they're not really seeing sales growth year over year. The company does not have an online sales platform and depends on repeat customers and foot traffic from the gym nearby. Your task with determining if there's a valid opportunity to expand the business to the location next door. Now, here's something I want to make sure we're clear on. This prompt is not asking you to decide if it is a good opportunity or not. The prompt is asking you to explain how you would research if this is a good opportunity or not. And then what are 3 potential mistakes to avoid in your research? Okay, so what would you search for? You might look to see how sales would grow if you were to increase and go with another line. Possibly, what if you had a line of kids apparel, fitness apparel? In the thought process there being that women's fitness apparel, they're shopping for themselves, and oh, you've got a cute space for some kids stuff. Because we know that women do buy for kids as well. That's something to think about. And then where would you search for that kind of information? Would you look for it on the web? Would you look at comparable stores? Those are the kinds of questions you want to ask yourself as you answer this part of the prompt. Oops. The second piece is, what are the 3 potential mistakes to avoid in your research? How can you avoid those mistakes? So possible mistakes would be actually just failing to do the research and just going on a whim. Oh yeah, more space equals more sales. Yeah, but not always. Okay. Another mistake could be ignoring the risks involved. The risk of increasing your overhead by bringing on additional space. And then finally, ignoring the hard numbers, ignoring the statistics involved, could run into a problem there with your research. Okay, so just a reminder, we talked about these. How to be successful in this course. Of course, we want you to read all of the readings that are provided and watch the videos. Remember that you need to post your discussions by Wednesday. Both initial posts need to be done by Wednesday each week. And then you want to reply to at least 2 classmates by Sunday. Always, always, always turning assignments and assessments in by their due date is the best way to ensure that you're going to be successful. Communicate with your professor and I if you need something. We are here to help. And if you need me, of course, then you've got all your different ways to connect with me. Feel free to email me through Canvas. Send me an email to my email address. My phone number there is a cell number, so feel free to call or text. Either one works. And I hope you guys have a great week. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to. Thanks, everyone. Let's have a great week.